Do you think that any of this will catch up with Joe Biden? The accusations, the allegations of rape, the fact that the media has not been holding him accountable whatsoever. Before we go into any of this with Joe Biden, I want to be clear. I think we should hold this to the same standard as we did Justice Brett Kavanaugh. So I don't think that Joe Biden is guilty at this point. I have no proof that he's guilty at this point, but it's fun to act like he's guilty. So I just want to be
we're honest with where we're coming from.
There's a little bit of trolling going on, but there is some information that I think people should know. The real crime here is not whether Joe Biden, well, first off, if he did it, that's the real crime.
Well,
if he raped's an actual crime.
Yes, it is.
It's a crime. It's not like, is it? It's
this
crime.
Just in. Yeah.
It's just crime. And not funny crime. It's right on the button crime. Rape is right there. It's one of those crimes that's sort of, there's not a gray area. That being said, the crime that we are witnessing right now is that of media malpractice, is that of them covering up what could potentially be a crime and making it hard for people to investigate whether or not a crime was committed. And that, to me, is what's so sinister. And I will say this, you never want to attribute malice, as to what could be chalked up to stupidity. But I'll make a case here as to why I think some foul play is going on. You know, if this were Clue, I'd be like, and the murderer is CNN.
Yeah.
So let's go to this really quickly.
I'm glad we're not
Tara Reid, she talked about how the reason this was found was she talked about not that Tara.
Yeah,
different. It's different.
Blow at a party.
Right.
This is Tara Reid, who accused Joe Biden.
That's just an unfortunate coincidence, right?
Well, it's spelled differently.
It is, but it doesn't matter in pronunciation.
And there's also,
maybe
believe it or not, Joe Biden is also being accused by Rosaria Dawson. He just apparently he had a fetish for Josie and the Pussycat co-star names.
Yeah.
It's a very weird fetish for a rapist.
He could get.
Yeah, it's tough.
You know, different strokes. Also, he tried to rape someone from Different Strokes.
Oh, wow.
I know.
Who would that possibly
I don't
be?
know. What you talking about, Biden? He's like, rape.
He's like trying to smell
Always
his hair
talking about rape. So Tara Reid said in one interview and another, my mother did call into Larry King back in 1993 about this, and it was sort of veiled. And she said, I bet you someone could find the episode. Well, someone did find the episode. And even though you can't 100% confirm that this is Tara Reid's mother, the one who's accusing Joe Biden of sexual assault, we can confirm that her mother lived in San Luis Obispo. We can confirm it's around the time frame where she said that it would have taken place. And the voice in question has been identified as Tara Reid's mom by some folks. So right now, just to be clear, this is not really in question. It hasn't been confirmed, but we haven't heard anyone even deny it. I want you to listen to this phone call. Tara Reid, woman who was allegedly raped by Biden, her mother calling into Larry King.
We're back. A couple more phone calls on this very important topic. Our guests are former United States Senator Howard Baker, Richard Allen, former National Security Advisor, and Lois Romano of the Washington Post. San Luis Obispo, California. Hello.
Yes, hello.
She's so bad.
I'm wondering what a staffer would do besides go to the press in Washington. My daughter has just left there after working for a prominent senator and could not get through with her problems at all. And the only thing she could have done was go to the press, and she chose not to do it out of respect for him.
Or she had a story to tell, but out of respect for the person she worked for, she didn't tell it.
That's true.
Well, now, but these are the people who do come to the Lois Romanos, right? The staff worker who says, I want to let you know about what's going on, either with my boss or the guy down the hall.
And a lot of these people have a sense of obligation. They feel that this public official should be accountable if it's something wrong.
They're whistleblowers to the press.
Exactly.
Now, the first thing I noticed, I apologize for the poor sound, is how bad Larry King is at his job.
He just repeats what
other
people
he says and then tosses to someone to do his job.
I could do that.
And says the city wrong.
Yes.
So here's what's really scary. After this, the August 11th, 1993 broadcast of that show disappeared. Keep this up because I need to see this really quickly. Now, here's what's crazy about this. 154, 155, if you look at these episodes, right? We don't know when this was removed from the Google Play Store. But it skips from August 10th, August 12th. I've looked into, and keep this up for a little bit because I can't look at this on my iPad.
Wow.
I looked everywhere else through these seasons, and I couldn't find a day skipped, provided it wasn't a weekend, where the show was actually running. This is the only one that I can find. And if you looked at it, goes from 154 to 155. That means they had to change the episode numbers of the catalog after for the entire season.
Wow.
Okay, can bring that down.
That is
So
insane.
some people were saying, well, CNN had this removed. No, CNN actually didn't have it removed. But that's even scarier to me because that means that Google Play themselves removed it, and someone at Google, Alphabet Google, changed the entire episode count afterward, which makes me wonder what are they sacrificing children to Moloch when they go out to Bohemian Grove? Like, what kind of a cabal is there behind the scenes right
They
now?
removed that video, though, so don't worry. It's already been
Right, yeah, it's already been removed.
Right, yeah.
But
do that.
some people were saying there's no conspiracy because CNN doesn't do anything with Google. Well, hold on a second. That just means that Google is in on it with CNN.
It gets worse if that's the case. If
Right.
CNN isn't the actor here, it's somebody else that did it, and it's like, oh, great. Now we have to worry about them too. And so we have actually with this evidence, which is it's thin, right? But it does corroborate what she says happened, right? And it could
Certainly more than we ever had with Brett Kavanaugh.
Exactly what I was going to say. We have passed the point of the evidence that we had with Brett Kavanaugh. We are light years beyond that with evidence now for this case, and we're not hearing.
Well, and here's what matters too: there are 3 potential Biden running mates. Right, they were on Sunday shows. None of them were asked about the allegations.
Wow.
And I believe it was Tara Reid who was really pissed off with Anderson Cooper. No one asked anyone anything. And let's just simplify this. Let's boil this down. Let's be reductive. What happened to Me Too? That was an entire year's worth of content.
Believe every woman.
It was hashtag Me Too.
Yes.
Everything was Me Too. Right now, it's nowhere to be found. Kind of like Black Lives Matter. What happened to Black Lives Matter? That's gone now? None of it? There's no Me Too at all. Whereas right now, you have far more than you ever had with Kavanaugh. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, how do I say that we have more evidence here than we have with Kavanaugh where there really isn't all that much evidence? Well, with Kavanaugh, we didn't have that much evidence, but we had a lot of anti-evidence. We had a woman, Christine Blasey Ford, who came forward and said that something happened on a day that she couldn't remember in a place that she described, which police investigated and didn't even exist. Her story that she gave to the psychologist didn't corroborate with a story that was put out in journals and I think it was the Washington Post at the time, and wasn't the same as the testimony that was provided at the hearing. Then there were other women who came forward who afterward recanted and said, okay, that wasn't necessarily true. And the only reason they did that was because people came out and said there's no possible way he could have been there at that time. Throughout this entire time span, Brett Kavanaugh was like a real-life Doug in that he kept a journal for his entire life, which was corroborated in several other instances, which is why it was considered to be at least semi-valid as a form of evidence. And he has no history outside of the accusations that were brought to light immediately by the media. There is no other history of Brett Kavanaugh committing any type of inappropriate sexual conduct at all. Nothing. The only time it had ever been brought up was when the media immediately full-on assault against him. This isn't the first time this has happened with Joe Biden.
Right.
Believe your lying eyes and ears. He sniffs children. He sniffs children. He has biker ladies sit on his lap. Several people have come forward before and just said that that he's made them uncomfortable. Now this woman claims rape. She says, I bet if you go back to Larry King, my mom called in. And that goes up, and then it comes down because Google decides not to cover it or to remove it entirely. And then no media entity interviewing Joe Biden or any of the potential running mates bring up any of this. There's a lot more evidence here than Brett Kavanaugh.